Just about fairness, really. We have a situation where, for whatever reason, legislation or rules have been changed, but there have been some really damaging outcomes as a result of those changes. Yes, of course, we want to clean up the fleet, and it may not be a bad thing to take out the 3, 4 and 5 euro taxes, but what that has created, especially with this scrappage scheme that Assemblymember Russell referred to, is that there's now a shortage of cabs. Now, if the manufacturers of the electric vehicle, LEVC, could increase their production and produce more cabs, that might be a good thing, only that they're incredibly expensive to buy. And the situation we have at the moment is that a number of older taxi drivers would have bought their taxis 11 years ago in the knowledge that by the time they get near to their retirement, that cab will be fully paid for, and they can then do a 2 or 3 day week, and they can slowly ease themselves into retirement. With this change, what has happened is those drivers will not have that cab that is free to them. They would have to go out, if they wanted to continue, they'd have to go out and rent a vehicle. Now, that would cost them. They would have to rent that. There would be a cost. That would mean they'd have to pretty much go back into full-time work and not have the ability to go into semi-retirement. And I don't think that has been considered in this policy. The other issue we have, because of the scrappage scheme, there are far fewer cabs, and that means that even if you did want to rent a cab, it's almost impossible to do it now. There's a real shortage of black cabs to be rented. With, again, the scrappage scheme, the big garages that supply a lot of these rental vehicles have sold off their older stock or taken advantage of the scrappage, which means they've got fewer vehicles. But also, because of the legislation, the value of second-hand black cabs has gone down too. So if you were a younger driver and you wanted to buy a new LEVC electric vehicle, you've got to find even more money because the second-hand market has collapsed, so making the electric vehicle more expensive. Now, if the Mayor and TfL could look to allowing for a short period until we have better supply from electric vehicles, where they could register the Vito 6. Now, bearing in mind, the Mercedes Vito 6 complies with the ULEZ. We have now a new bus system, an on-demand bus system. That vehicle uses exactly the same engine as the Mercedes Vito 6. So it's all compliant with all the air quality standards that we now believe to be correct. So I cannot see why we cannot permit the licensing again of the Vito 6 for a period of time to help sort out the problems that this policy has created. It would also mean that the value of second-hand market would go up. It would mean that younger drivers would be able to afford to buy the new electric vehicle. That would mean there'd be more second-hand Vitos on the market. That means there'd be more vehicles for rent. That means rentals would go down. That means people with older cabs could rent taxis more cheaply. All that is very, very simple economics. And what we forget here, actually, is that taxi drivers, why we call it a trade, it's actually independent traders, it's independent people. And these policy changes, whilst they are well-meaning, have massive financial effects on these individuals. And I don't think that has been taken into account. So it's all very well for the Mayor to introduce a policy, but the cost of that policy is being borne by individual Londoners. Thank you.